So may I call us to order? The 2 p.m. January 14th regular meeting of Brattleboro Housing Partnerships we held on Zoom. We are all of us here. The next order of business would be to review the minutes from our December 20th meeting and the annual, which was the annual meeting.
Oh, it isn't the annual meeting. That's a typo. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
I'll make a
Annual
motion
meeting.
to approve the minutes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Do I hear a second?
Liz.
Liz, thank you. I didn't hear, but I just, because I was looking at this. Any comments? So all those in favor of approving the minutes as circulated, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
No, nobody abstaining. Good. Unanimous. Resident and citizen participation. And the next step is to open the public hearing on the HUD plans, the 2022 annual plan, the revised 5-year plan, and moving to work supplemental plan. As I went through it, these were flipped together, which was very helpful because then I could see where our work on these plans was separated from the regular work of the commission. Christine, would you like to lead this portion of it?
Sure. So I think I'll need a motion to, I guess I don't know if we need a motion to open the public hearing or not. Maybe we don't. I don't think we do. Okay, so we'll just go forward. Yes, so there's 3 pieces. So there's the annual plan, which some of you may remember as what we submit every year. Yes. It is a HUD form. It's very specific around public housing. And and any of our Section 8 vouchers. And so we do not actually have any public housing. We technically have public housing, but we don't have anyone living in public housing because it's what is at Melrose Terrace. However, we still need to submit this form. And so, so we have submitted the form really with just identifying a main key component, which is that we have become a moving to work agency. And so that was clearly identified in section B2 that we have as of June 28th and then approved on August 9th. We became a moving to work agency. And then our progress report really just lets them know since our last annual plan for HUD that we have relocated the 25 residents that were currently living in the public housing units. And that right now we're just in the process of a demo dispo. So normally we would not do a 5-year plan, but because we had a major change in our 5-year plan, we needed to revise it. And so we did revise this plan, just saying that we have become a moving to work agency. And so that's really the only additional piece in the 5-year plan. And then the last piece is our moving to work supplemental plan, which we reviewed at the last meeting, and we do not have any additional comments. One thing to know about the annual plan and the 5-year plan is that these documents are really living documents. So we'll probably have to revisit this at some point this year as we begin to have our conversations around what to do with Melrose Terrace. Right now, Melrose Terrace is in the process of demolition and disposition. And we, as an agency, it will no longer be public housing, but we may decide that we don't want to we don't want to demolish the remaining buildings. And then we'll have to, ask HUD for approval that we will not demolish them, but we would like to put them just in disposition, meaning that we would then transfer them to either a nonprofit or to some other agency. And so I'm just giving you that that ahead of time, because these documents, while they're important and they're a requirement by HUD and we have to submit them at a very specific time, we had to do it in January for our next fiscal year, which starts in April, that they're not set in stone. They're just sort of a place marker for them. Is that helpful?
From the commission.
Well, I'm sorry, Janet, what?
I was asking whether there were any questions from the commissioners.
I read each page thoroughly and I didn't have any questions.
So I'd ask if you don't have questions, that we then approve them piece by piece. So I would ask that we have a motion to start with the annual public housing plan and ask for a motion to approve that plan as is.
You'll see this in your agenda to accept the 2022 annual plan.
I move that we accept the 2022 annual plan for fiscal year 22-23 as presented with changes.
Do I hear a second? Thank you, Brian. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Abstaining? The second potential motion to accept revised 5-year plan.
I'll make a motion to accept the 5-year plan.
Thank you, Donna. Do I see a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alicia. All those in favor of accepting the revised 5-year plan for fiscal year 22-23, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstaining? Anybody voting against? Okay. The third potential motion to accept moving to work supplemental plan. Do I hear a motion? Thank you, Byron. Sorry. Byron has moved that motion. Anybody seconding?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Liz. All those in favor to accept moving to work supplemental plan for fiscal year 22-23, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Then thank you for making this as simple as possible in a complicated process.
I tried.
You did a beautiful job. Okay. And now we're down to the regular reports. I guess, no, first is the COVID-19 update.
So I'm sure, as you all know, so COVID cases have increased dramatically since we last met. We are continuing to take precautions. One additional precaution that we're taking is we're really limiting any office visits in person. We're trying to do as many things remotely as possible. We will meet with people in person if there's no other option. However, all staff are required to wear N95 masks. We have ordered specific masks. We've ordered different sizes, different ones. We're having staff identify the ones that fit them best. And then we're requiring that whenever they meet with anyone in person, they have to wear them. We're also continuing to doing all contact tracing. However, at this point, we had signed up to get testing, but we were recently notified that they'll no longer be able to help us with they'll no longer be able to do the testing. So we've been applying for rapid testing through the state to get rapid tests if possible for our staff. But at this point, we're not letting anyone into the office if they have any symptoms at all. If they have been a direct contact, then we're asking them to be tested before they come back to work. So not too different than what we've already been doing, but taking that extra precaution of the masks. And I think for the next week or two, really limiting our exposure, our exposure from ourselves to residents, which is our biggest concern, is that because for many of us, we have more contact outside of work than many of our residents do. So we're really prioritizing their safety, but also recognizing that people are struggling with mental, the isolation. So trying to balance the two.
How is the staff mood?
I would say actually pretty good. People are feeling, I think we had a really tough month. We had you'll see in our report, we had several deaths at one of our housing sites, which was very upsetting. We had 3 deaths in 1 month at one housing site. And so I think I think it's hard, but I think our staff is feeling like, even though the cases are really high right now, that we may be, I don't know, somehow it feels like we're getting to an end. I don't know if it seems unrealistic, but I think staff has seemed okay. I met with maintenance staff yesterday. I've been meeting with staff on a regular, almost daily basis, at least either over the phone or through Zoom. And I meet with the maintenance staff in person. We've been trying to meet more frequently. So they seem to be, going forward and taking this very seriously, which helps.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go to reports. The next thing on the property review and property managers report, review write-offs, Hayes Court, Samuel Elliott, and Moore Court.
So that's the white piece of paper that's under the yellow. Yeah.
Right, that's what I was just looking for because I knew I had seen it. Do we?
And I think Byron has a
do the
question.
write-off first, and then we will look at just at Courtney's and Jen Short's report. So the write-offs for Hayes Court, and I'm assuming that the yellow is the additional, so that they're added. No, yes, they are. They're added. So the write-off on Hayes Court be $417.85. For Moore Court, $310.56. And for Sam Elliott, $460.83, for a total of $1,189.24. Want to comment on those, or are we ready to have a motion to approve them?
Does anyone have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve them as is.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Thank you. My only question is, does this reflect the sort of end of the road for reaching for federal assistance for paying back rent?
No, it doesn't. That's a great question. It does not. These are specifically situations where either the person is deceased and there was a balance in their account, or they moved out and they left a balance. So we can't, it will remain in our collections and loss, but it will not be shown on the rent. After today, it will then be excused from the rent. So it's because none of these cases, they can't apply for VRAP because they're no longer within, like we're not working with them anymore to apply because for whatever reason, so that's why we have write-offs. We haven't had write-offs in a long time because of that, because we haven't had these balances and we haven't had people move out without their security deposit. And so some of these, especially, so when people went to RCC, their security deposit is much larger. We paid the difference when they went in. Some of the security deposits for the people who pass away, their security deposit might be like $90. So once we clean out an apartment, there's going to be a balance. And so that needs to be then taken off the books, but we don't lose it. We still just put it in a collections and loss account. It was helpful for me. I forgot. I had to ask Courtney. I totally forgot. I was like, can you explain this to me? Because we haven't done them in a while.
Right. Thank you. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion to approve the write-offs for Hayes Court, Samuel Elliott Apartments, and Moore Court, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Resident Wellness and Services Report. Actually, we have kind of skipped over the property management update. Any comments on that?
So
Byron has a question. Byron has a question. I'm sorry, Donna.
Thank you.
that's okay.
Byron?
I think you're muted, Byron, still. Your microphone is off.
We still can't hear you, Byron.
There you go.
Yeah, it's better. Okay.
I just wanted to say I'm very grateful for the emergency rental assistance, grateful to the federal government and to Lorelei or whoever is managing that.
Yes, the VRAP, Vermont Emergency Rental Assistance Program, We've collected a total of $95,171.73. So that does make a big difference. Thank you for highlighting that, Byron.
Yes.
Okay, and we've done the write-offs. Wellness Services Monthly Very Pink Report. I'm pleased to see that the Resident Advisory and Communications Committee continues to meet, because we tried to have resident advisory meetings at each site, and that didn't work. But this seems to be helpful, taking the energies of various people in our housing. Any other comments? And they're meeting, obviously, everybody's meeting virtually. Is that helping people? Are they learning the process?
I think it helps, and I think it hinders in some ways, but I do think it is better. And I think what's really helpful is they look at individual property concerns, but then also talk about it on other properties. And so sometimes there's some properties have already gone through something similar, and then they offer each other support. When we went through our strategic planning process, and I think you'll learn more of this next week when we go over that. But one thing that was really interesting is we went through all the complaints for 2 whole years. So all of the complaints for 2019, the year before COVID, and then 2020. 2021, the most recent year. And we found that I think it was 95% of the complaints were really about residents' behavior. And there are very minimal complaints about actually us, outside of very, little things like there's dog poop outside, nobody, cleaned it up, things like that. So we actually learned a lot from that. And so I think when we share those results with this group, I think it's going to be really helpful for them to see some of that information. And I think working together sort of to identify that this is, this is an area that we really can work with, and we can work on and support residents in this.
Wonderful. Okay. Housing Choice Voucher Administration, Housing Choice. Your sash flash, as always, is both well done and has a recipe on the back that looks very good.
Yeah, it does.
I appreciate David's outlining the various housing choice vouchers, because we have so much a wider variety now. The housing choice voucher, the project-based voucher, choice mobility, mainstream voucher. So we have 4 different, as well as the shelter plus care and transitions housing. Any comments, any questions?
I just think it's wonderful that much help is being given to so many people.
Mm-hmm. And the point that he made, people are not moving from their current units. And if they do, the landlords have chosen to increase the monthly rent by at least 20%.
Yeah.
1-bedroom unit that once was $850 a month is now $1,000. So this is the landscape in which we are working.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It is. I think that David really, his program really, I think it's very clear to see the pattern of what's happening in our community through the Section 8 program. And I think he also identified that people are beginning to look outside of our area.
Yeah. How do we manage a Section 8 recipient who is living outside of our area? I know we can have people port in. Are they porting out?
They are porting out. Mm-hmm. So it's working with another public housing organization to accept that voucher. But they may be looking within our radius.
What is
but
our radius, Christine?
It's just the surrounding areas. So the Guilford, Marlborough, Dummerston, Putney, but it's not easier anywhere else, Vernon. It's not. So I think that when he's looking at them moving out, they might be looking towards Springfield or other, I'm not sure, but looking at other areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments? We can move on to the financial review. And the first thing was the auditor's comments on our accounts. Anna, you're the expert in this area. Did you
Nothing
see
popped.
anything?
Nothing
Nothing popped.
popped at me, so.
That's the most succinct evaluation that I've heard, and that's very helpful. Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were no findings, which is always a good sign. And, it was actually in some ways a very good year because we did get additional funds for COVID. And so, and we, I think I was really grateful. This process for me was much easier working with the auditors. For myself and James and Billy Joe, we really had it more down to a science. I think the first year we were doing it, Billy Joe and I were asking, I don't even know what they're looking for. Let's figure out what this is. So it took us a while to figure it out, but I feel like we have a really good system now. And having James on board, I think he's just very helpful in making sure that we're as compliant as possible.
Wonderful.
And so that's our big relief.
Just, hello.
Yes, please.
I just think it all looks wonderfully clean. I don't know who's hiding what, but looks
That's a
awfully
good
good.
comment. Yeah. Very well said.
Mhm.
It's clear and it's the novice, the non-financial person can read this and understand it.
Mhm.
That's very helpful. The December check listing in green.
There.
And Donna, I wanted to ask how it's working for you and Billy Joe, and you're signing checks in January.
Signing them in my car with a mask. My gloves are on. She brings them out to me. I call her up. She brings them out to me.
Okay.
She's great. We've done it twice. She's always
Wonderful.
really so good to deal
So-
with anyways.
I'm so glad it's working for you. And then February is Liz, March is Byron, and April Alicia.
Is it
That's
going
still
to be?
work for everybody?
Yeah, are you going to still let me in the building if I'm all masked up and everything?
Yeah, you can come in. Yes, unless something else changes, but I don't think so. But it's fine. And yeah, Billy Joe also confirmed, and I know last week there was a lot of checks, so thank you, Donna.
There were a ton.
Said it's going well.
Good.
And one thing I should let you know as well is, Lorelei Morissette was added to the bank accounts as a signer. She's another person who, she's a manager, and she really stepped into the role of supporting me when I was out for this last week for vacation, and she's taking on some more managerial roles. And so we have added her as a signer because we needed another person now that Chris will no longer be we took Chris off the accounts. Chris Hart.
Good.
Sounds good.
Yes, it does. So how appropriate that our next item is the continued project that Chris has been working on, and I believe has pulled it back from now. Who is reviewing these, Christine? Is that you now?
It's me and Chris. We actually met yesterday, and she and I are working on a short-term contract to just finish this project specifically. We've gotten some real interest in potentially from a conservancy group to potentially take over that land. The contract that we signed with the town to continue to plow and take over the ongoing, I'm trying to think of the right word, the utilities that was passed by the select board. So Chris, I think, wants to stay on in this small limited capacity. So we're reviewing a contract, because the contract that she signed with the board before I became the executive director expired as of the first of the year.
Okay. Well, I know she's taken on some other big jobs, so I'm
know.
glad that we've got at least a slice of her time. Okay.
But I am reviewing them as well. And so we've been working at it together at this point. The job site has closed down for the winter. They worked longer than we thought. But I think that this is helpful. It gives you some good pictures of sort of where we are with this.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I was there today, the sign checks, you come across the bridge and it's like, you're so busy gopping around, it's like, what? You gotta turn
Yes, right. They've done a nice job of photographs.
Yeah,
So
it just looks
who
so.
haven't been there recently.
It's like all those houses are gone. That's gone. When you start to realize what was there before.
Yes. And that the both the water connections and the hydrants and the other things that were going on underneath the soil. It's just a reminder that it's not just the surface that matters.
That's right. They've done a great job.
Well, if the conservation group is interested in following up and taking over, that might be very exciting for everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I did.
Go ahead.
So right before this meeting, I actually had a scheduled meeting with HUD to talk over sort of what our options would be. I think maybe I already said that to you. I apologize if I did. So, we're already so I think we had talked during our board meetings of, we know that it won't be public housing anymore. We can't, that's not an option. And so I think that I think as we go into the beginning of the year, we just really want to start thinking about what the potential could potentially be for this property. And so it will definitely be a big part of the next year in what we decide we want to do. So.
And the last issue being our strategic planning meeting, January 19th at 4:30. So we are shifting toward meeting at 4:30, knowing that it's going to shave some time for both Alicia and Donna. And we're going to see how we can make this work.
Yeah.
And if anybody would rather attend the meeting on Tuesday at 9:00, let me know, and I'm happy to send you that link.
Yeah, I was going to, but I've got something else for the bank I've got to do. So.
Okay.
How about you, Alicia?
I'm going to attend the 4:30.
Okay. And we are at the end of the agenda. Some other meetings that I belong to want to sort of process the meeting. Byron, you've got your hand up.
I had a question on how the search is going for employment and education coordinator.
Great. So the good news is we received, so it's a yearly grant. So we have to apply every year, and we did receive the grant for 2022. So that's great news.
Yes.
And we received a substantial increase in grant funding, which we can only spend on salary and benefits. And so we're able to increase the salary for this job, which I think will really allow us to look, I think we'll get even more candidates. So we have it posted as of now. We were kind of waiting a little bit until we got the grant approval. We didn't want to start hiring for the job and then find out we didn't have it. So we did wait until the beginning of the year. We found out right around Christmas that we could receive the grant. So So we have it posted. We and with the new salary range, which is great. So we're getting a lot of resumes. So I'm pretty hopeful that we're going to get someone good. And the position that we filled, the property management admin, the occupancy admin position that we filled with Estelle Reynolds, she is very happily still here. So that has been great. She's amazing. So we're very lucky to have her, and she's been a real asset to the team. I think everybody's feeling really good about that. And Mary Houghton came back just short term to help us with a couple of small financial projects. We have some real, we have to do some cleaning up of, boxes of papers and deciding what we can get rid of and what we need to keep and things like that. And so she has agreed to come back just very short term. But
Okay.
it's lovely to have her in the building.
Mhm. Yes, indeed. It's the nice heritage. And because I came in sort of breathless from another meeting, I didn't get a chance to ask Christine how she was feeling after having finally let go and taken a vacation for a week.
I had a great time. I had a whole week off. I was off 3 days last week and 3 days this week. And I've never done a half week vacation. And I've never had a vacation where I just stayed at home. And I will recommend both. They're really both great. And I really was able to check out. I read a lot. I got to do a lot of little projects that I enjoyed and just mostly just de-stress. And it was just really nice. And I think it was good for my staff to see. And it felt like a real reset. So I'm glad I did it. And it really also forced me to get some pieces in place for in case, I wasn't here or something were to happen to me, which was needed anyway, but just took some time. And so it's nice to have those pieces in place and having another person who can fill in for me if I'm not available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing everybody who's able to be with us on the 19th or before. And do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Donna. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you for a really good
Thank you.
meeting.